Welcome back to another little lesson, another Rutbuster lesson with Justin, just from JustinGuitar.com, and myself, the Captain Anderton. Many people say, why are you called the Captain? I have no military background. It is not meant as an insult to anybody that has. It's simply what Rob Chapman called me the first time he met me. It's the Captain of the good ship Andertons is exactly what he said, which is why I'm the Captain. Anyway.
Okay, as opposed to Captain Pugwash and the Seaman Stains.
Exactly, Masturbates and Seaman Stains from my, which allegedly was never happened. Apparently that's all made up. I'm
pretty sure that that's real.
Well, I don't know if you go on the internet now and you go, did any of those? It was Roger the Cabin Boy, Masturbates, and Seaman Stains.
Okay, I'm going to have to do in the next break. I'm looking that up.
But maybe they weren't. Anyway,
let's have a look in a moment. But first of all, we should talk about some guitar stuff.
Yes.
And today I proposed that we have a look at the sixth.
Yes.
And it might seem a little bit of an odd thing to even to talk about, like the sixth. What's the sixth? Well, it's a note that you can add to the minor pentatonic scale that sounds really cool, really classy.
Yeah.
It's used a lot by the guys like B.B. King. It's one of those notes that makes them sound a little different to the standard minor pentatonic-y stuff. And in that little playthrough at the beginning, I was trying to really target that one little note so you could get an idea of the flavour. But if you think like the minor pentatonic scale, as we all know it, is that. Everybody knows that minor pentatonic. And I've seen students over the years, when we're having a little jam on the minor pentatonic, hit this note and go like, oh, I played the wrong note. But actually, this note is really cool sounding over both the D and the A. So can you just give me an A 12 bubblers, or just stay on the A for a second?
Yep.
So here's the note. This is the 7th fret. Sounds really nice, doesn't it?
It fits, totally
cool.
fits, yeah.
Now,
would it fit if I played a major, sort of?
Yeah. Again.
Right, okay.
Or a minor, so straight minor.
It doesn't sound as appropriate with a minor.
I think it could just be the feel it works.
If I played maybe more of a longer, rather than doing that stabby, if I just
it'll work.
It just needs to be. It's context.
It's always context.
Always context.
But what a lot of people don't realise is that it's just a note that you can use over. It works over the whole 12-bar sequence. It works over the A as the 6th, which is why we call it the 6th. It's the 6th note of the major scale. It's the note F sharp in the key of A. And it sounds great over the A, but it does want to resolve. You notice all of the times when I was playing it, I played it for a little while and then I moved off one way or the other. I either moved back to the 5th fret or up to the 8th fret, which are both notes from the minor pentatonic. So it works, but it wants to resolve.
Can I do my classic, slight shoehorn question? If you refer to, I understand the theory behind talking about a note which is a 6th or a 9th, whatever, and it does confuse me slightly. I can't go, oh, you mean this one? I have to literally in my head go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yes, that's fine.
Which is fine. So, and I appreciate that obviously then any of those notes are going to appear twice, or most of those notes are going to appear twice win that least, sort of shape.
Pattern,
so we're talking about, you'll have 2 notes separated by an octave.
Yes. That other one is just as good as well. It's just slightly harder to use, which is why I'm starting with this one.
No, that's cool. But why if you're playing a minor pentatonic scale, why isn't it the 6th note of the minor pentatonic scale? Why is it the 6th note of the major scale?
Do you know what pentatonic means?
5.
5-note scale, so you can't have the 6th note in a 5-note scale anyway.
Yeah, that's true. I never really thought about that.
But
if you wanted to play the 4th, for example, that still wouldn't be that would still be the 4th note of the major scale, wouldn't it?
Yes.
It wouldn't be the 4th note of the
minor pentatonic scale.
So is there a reason?
All harmony is.
Do you wish I'd never asked?
It's kind of one of those ones that it's an easy question, but it's a kind of a difficult answer because all Western harmony is based off of the major scale when we describe things. Now, it could be arbitrary, and there's even a famous, horrible book called The Lydian Chromatic Concept of Tonal Organization for Improvisation. right? Which supposes
Is it a sex manual?
Yeah, kind of. It depends on which way you look at it, but which way you hold the book up. But that book supposes that we've got it wrong and that we should have based our whole harmony system on the Lydian scale instead of the major scale, right? The Lydian mode. But we didn't. And all of our harmony was decided hundreds of years ago that we're going to base it on this scale and this is the one forevermore. Now, because of that, it makes it easier to describe any other scale. So when we're talking about the flat third or the sharp four or whatever, if it related to different scales each time, you'd never know which one it was.
Right.
Right.
So it always relates to the major scale of whatever the root
scale, of the root of the key.
Of the key. Okay. Yeah. Well, at least that clears that up. So you can always work out, you know, even if you have to do it by physically counting, you can always work out which note we're talking about.
So now I'm going to confuse you with our sixth a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. So that note works great as the sixth over the A chord in a 12-bar blues, but it also works great over the D chord. Now, if we even just physically look at the note, if we play an A7 chord and then add that note in,
sounds nice.
It's cool. It's the sixth. It's that you quite often get it in that sort of rockabilly like. That sort of sound, you can hear it. That's the sixth.
That's a classic lick, yeah.
To the ninth, okay? So, but you can hear it wants to resolve all the time. It's really important that you get that. It sounds good, but it wants to resolve.
Yeah.
Now, that same note over the D7 chord, the 4 chord in our 12-bar blues, you can see it's actually in the chord. There's our D7 chord, there's the note, right? It's called the third of the chord in D, so it's the third note of the D major scale.
Right.
1, 2, 3, that we get to the same note. So if we temporarily kind of think in the terms of the key of D, that note becomes the third of D. Now, the cool thing about it being a chord tone is that it doesn't need to resolve anywhere. You can just stay on it because it's a chord tone.
Yeah.
So if you just give me a bit of a D vamp, so a D7 or D chord or whatever, that's the one.
It's quite happy to.
It's a really, really hip sound, and it says, if you use it in the right way, it's a nice way of saying to the listener, I know that the guy's just changed chord to the D, and I'm going to hit that note to say, like, I know where we are in the song.
Yeah.
Right? The same note over the E becomes your favourite E9 chord, right? So that's it. So if we have an E7 chord and we add that note, it just becomes E9. So you can see the theory behind that note working over the A7, the D7, and the E7. It works in theory and it works to our ears. Now, going on from the previous lesson about scales and words and all of this sort of stuff, you can use it and just play around with it, much like you might play around with the letter of the alphabet and put it on different words to see what the effect was. Right? Yeah. Pretty stupid exercise.
I've always liked the, you know.
Oh, so, yeah.
So I've always liked that sort of, you know, that.
Yep. It's a super duper sound. But you can just hit on. You can hit on it. You can stay. You can use it any which way.
The one I don't use so much is the one where it's down here, which I do like.
Why don't you use it?
I don't
so
know because perhaps I just not
there's
familiar.
a really obvious answer.
Oh, okay. Is it because it's just not in a nice place to play?
It's not in our comfort zone. We're used to playing here. It's just you have to move your whole hand out of the box. Whereas this one. It's where we used to do in our wangle anyway. You know, it's just like, well, just put that finger down there instead of here, and we get the sound. This one, it's a lot less comfortable like that because it's out of position. Now, what I'd like to do, let's have a little go at using just that one note. I'm going to play some rhythm for you, a little 12-bar blues, and I want you to just explore that note. Feel the space.
Yeah.
Get into it. Just try and see what you can get out of it. Mix it in with some licks and phrases that you know already, but be aware that the point of the little jam, and again, when you're doing this as a practicing, would be a little 5-minute practice session. Yeah. And you're just targeting that note as much as you can to get used to it. Again, you wouldn't do this at a gig. It's not suggesting you would ever play a gig like that, a solo in a real situation. As practice, you want to just really, keep hitting it. See what you can get out of it when you're playing. Yeah.
Am I allowed to play it, to find it in other places?
I don't want you to yet. Okay. We're going to talk about that in a second. Okay. So let's just try that one spot.
Yeah.
Just again, when you're trying to learn loads of different things at once, you don't learn those lots of things as well as you would learn on that one thing. And if we drilled that enough now, just that one note, you'd find it would naturally start to come out in your playing. Whereas if we suddenly find every F sharp on the fretboard, you're probably unlikely to find any of them. When
I'll do my best.
Here we go.
I'll do my best.
2, 3, 4.
Do you know what, that discipline that we talked a little bit about in lesson 1 of just going 5 minutes, do nothing else, try and stay within that 3 or 4 note lick and really milk it. That I think could make some big strides over like you say 2 or 3 weeks.
Massive strides. We all find it really difficult to find practice time.
Yeah.
And I think the important part is when you're going to do something, practice as opposed to playing.
Yeah.
Right? And my personal vibe is that whatever time you've got to play guitar, you should spend half of it doing whatever you like, wailing around, playing the licks that you know, the songs that you like, and half of it doing kind of little 5-minute bursts of practice. And a lot of people find the discipline of that difficult, like to sit down for 5 minutes to practice hard. So you want to find things that will make the playing part more fun, because if you did that for 5 minutes a day for a week, you're going to be really confident with that note, and it will automatically start to come out in your other playing. And when you start to see the benefit of it, you go, oh man, all of that hard work I was doing, it's really paying off. I've got a new lick in my bag, especially if you're doing multiple little 5-minute things of learning new ideas and new concepts. You'll really see yourself growing as a player in actually a relatively short period of time. We're talking weeks, not years, you know.
I can see I'm beginning to sort of see the benefit of having a sort of a tuition relationship, you know, somebody, because I think the hardest bit for me will be and has been the fact that I'm only playing, I want to say I only play guitar for my own self-gratification. But I wonder if that's not, so there's a bit of me that says, right, if I've got 20 minutes to play, because that's the space I've got today, do I just do what makes me happy? Which is just not practice, you know, or do I practice, which won't make me happy, but in the short term, but in the long term will make me more happy because I'll feel like and I think I need somebody to just give me that little bit of structure.
The twist of this, and the funny part is that when we first sat down and talked about doing lessons and stuff, it's like, oh yeah, I find myself playing all of the same stuff all of the time, and I hear that all the time. It's the most commented thing on my videos, like, oh man, you helped me to do this. It's like, the solution is here. This is to avoid that feeling of only playing the same stuff. You have to learn some new stuff. It's so obvious, but so hard to do. I'm not criticising you for not being able to do it. It's like a normal.
It is just, there is no gain, no pain, as they say.
Yeah, but what you want to try and find is the things that are still enjoyable to do. And
we're not doing scales, are we?
Exactly, we're not or technique mechanics or whatever. There's stuff that I've practiced over the years that is the most boring, or ear training. A lot of people hate ear training, and I've never been a big fan. Some of those things are really boring. Really boring. Yeah. If you want to progress to beyond a certain point, you need to know it. The notes on the fingerboard really well. The names of the notes in all the chords in the key. You need to know that stuff. You know, if you want to play jazz or whatever, you have to be able to know, oh, I'm in this key, these are the chords in this key, that's the scales that fit over that. And that's, again, it's pretty hardcore theory, and it's probably a bit boring. Jamming on one note, I don't think you should say that that's like a boring thing, because it's jamming it if you get a nice backing track, or you've got a looper set up or whatever, or a jam buddy, even better if you can grab one of the guys around here to play, let's do our 5 minutes practice on this. And one person plays rhythm guitar for 5 minutes, so they get their rhythm guitar practice. The other guy does some lead guitar for 5 minutes. That's better than a backing track, better than a looper.
I agree, and I've got no excuse. I am surrounded by good guitar players who will willingly sit down for 5 minutes and have a noodle, so I shouldn't. Okay.
So we
back to the sixth.
Yeah, exactly. So we've looked at that one. It's the kind of thing where my recommendation would be probably a week's worth of 5 minutes practice on that one note before you start exploring the other ones. Because if you can't make sense of that, musical sense of it, learning another one's not going to help, it's going to make it worse. Because then you're going to have two things that you don't really know how to make music out of, and then you start feeling like, oh, I'm no good. Or
where are your sort of go-to?
So you would go to them anywhere. So do you know your F sharps around the...
No, well, we've already... I don't know any of apart from the open strings, and then everything else. Oh, is that true? No, I know the root notes where on the bottom E string.
Okay, so I would definitely recommend that you learn them at least on the sixth string.
I still
and
have
the
to
fifth
remind
string.
myself: is B sharp an actual note, or did someone just make that up once? Because and every time I go, hang on quickly, and then I visualize what the things do, and I go, oh no, it's a made up.
It's what somebody said to the pencil, isn't it?
Is it? Oh,
B sharp, man. Sorry. But B sharp does exist, and it regularly occurs in music theory. B sharp is just a B note that's moved up a semitone. So, and the same as like the C flat exists. It exists in the C flat major scale, for example. You know,
wouldn't it have just been so much easier if someone had just gone, like, just actually used 12 letters of the alphabet rather than 8 letters and some sharps? Wouldn't that have just been much easier?
But now, okay, look, do you really want to open that can of worms?
I don't know, I never thought about it before, but it's...
So the reason that it works the way it works is for chords. So in a scale context, it makes sense that you have these different, a different note instead of sharps and flats.
Yeah.
But let's say the key of an A chord.
Yeah.
We want to have an A minor that's got A, C and E, that's the notes in an A minor chord, and an A major chord which is A, C sharp and E. Because we still want them, it makes sense that they're both A chords, that there's only one note that's changed, and it's only changed a little bit. Because if it was a different note name, it would make less sense. That's the easiest way to explain it.
No, that does make sense.
I've given it...
And I don't want to rewrite, 1,000 million years of musical theory.
Well,
Maybe I should do that. Like, instead of the cage system, I will literally just have like A to J or something. It'll be my new... and I'll just do my own course. Won't sell any. But...
Wow. That's a pretty big idea. But be thankful you're not in Germany where they have the letter H involved. You know they have H in Germany.
No?
Yeah. Huh?
Same in Denmark, Pete.
And Denmark.
What, in the scale? There's an H in the scale?
Yeah, there's an H note.
Well, which is which
B
note?
B flat.
B flat is just called an H?
I think so, yeah. I think it's B flat, or is it B and they call B flat B?
Oh, man.
I can't...
Let's not go there.
B is H.
B is H. Yeah, there you go. And B flat is B, right?
B flat is still...
B, it's called.
Oh, it is still called B flat.
Not B flat, B.
Oh, BB.
B.
This is our resident Danish man telling us about... Oh, man!
It's just like being on a TV show where the little voice of God
Yeah, we should just have it in here.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah, sorry, live breaking news now.
Yes.
Anyway.
So, be glad that you're not in Europe where they have the H note. And it does, if you get into the theory stuff, it does actually make sense. It's much more logical than you would think.
Do you know what? It completely makes sense that you wouldn't want to call those both different, like not A chords or some derivative of an A chord. So maybe there we go. I'm sure whoever invented it.
Another time we'll sit down and I'll explain all of the different chords from the single root, and then you start to see. Because they're all the same: major, minor, minor 7, major 7, dominant 7, diminished 7, 6, minor 6. All of that. If they have the same root note, they all have the same A, C, E, G. Well, 6 doesn't actually, but all of the others have this same pattern of A, C, E, and G, but various sharps and flats attached to each different note.
And now we've
completely diverted away from the 6. So
yes,
let's go rewinding back to F sharp notes on the fingerboard. So the first step would be getting to know that F sharp there.
Right.
The second one, you can have a go at doing this F sharp here and sliding back to it with your first finger, or doing that one if you want. But what I'm telling you is that it's going to feel weird to do it because it's moving you out of pattern.
I totally agree. It doesn't feel comfortable. But I just like the sound of it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, where it works really wicked is moving to the D chord. So if somebody's playing an A to the D, if they hit that note, A, or if they hit it right on the D, it's like, oh yeah, baby,
that's a
it
good
really,
note.
it sounds
And
terrific.
this is, I think, a lot of the stuff. This is where I think the magic is, because you hear the really good guitar players and they're just all second nature, and they're just hitting, you know, they're targeting the notes and all the phrasing so beautifully. And it's exactly that kind of. So, you know, I know that if you're. I know that note works in there, but to be able to play a lick so that just as I'm ending the A, and I know the D's coming up in like 3 seconds time or whatever, to be able to go, you know, would be super cool.
Okay.
But I guess I don't know. It's not second nature at the moment. It's something I would absolutely have to.
How does it get to be second? How does it get to be second nature?
Practice.
You practice it. That silly kung fu analogy I gave you. You have to do it over and over again to the point where it just starts to happen.
Yeah.
Now, this particularly, what we're talking about now really is making changes. So instead of thinking of one scale over a whole blues, we're thinking like, okay, there are certain notes that I'm going to use over particular chords and not over others. Right? Now, the sixth works over the A, but it has to be resolved, but it works fantastic over the D. So what I want you to try now is we're just going to play 2 bars of A, 2 bars of D, and I'm going to call when the chord changes are coming. Hopefully you'll just know after a little bit. But I want you to play minor pentatonic strictly on the A chord. And then when we go to the D, I want you to target that one note.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's try it. Here we go.
All right.
2, 3, 4. Here we go. Excellent. Back to A. Back to D. Not that hard, you're doing wicked. A. D. Yeah. Trouble doing that. In your mind, you were like, oh, I can't do that. That's too complicated. But actually, the reality of it was that you were totally able to do it, and it sounded really cool.
Because it's when somebody says, well, and then it gives me the confidence to go, it will totally work for you to use that note as a passing note when it's over the A, or resolve, or whatever you want to call it. Oh, no, you need to resolve it, that's right. Yeah. But during the D, it's okay to sit on it more. Then I guess that gives me the confidence to just do it. So I'm not playing anything that I couldn't play before.
Exactly.
But I'm just playing it with more confidence.
But it sounds cool. And it's one of these things that mixed in with your lick development ideas. You know, taking that one lick that you used before, which is exactly what you were doing on the A. You were using your... And then you went to D. It's like, and you did a wonderful... And you absolutely nailed it. It was like... You just did the thing that you went, oh, I'd never be able to go and make it land on the thing, and then you just did.
No, that's cool. That's cool.
It's a really cool trick.
Come on, I just so if I was let me just see. So my other sort of normal default A position then.
Yeah.
So where am I?
So in this pattern here, it's here, the F sharp, and you can do that lovely trick that you were just doing.
Oh. Where am I, sorry? So here.
14th fret.
14th.
And that note, which is this one, Lee, this one.
Yeah.
So use your second and third fingers. And I'm going to, other way around. That's up 1 fret, that's it. Let me explain why. Now, if you're using those 2 fingers, you're completely out of your comfort zone for this, which is what you were using this, right? Yeah. Now, if you suddenly start using it, actually in that particular case, it's not too bad because you're using your first finger there. When you do that pattern, did you do that? What's your default? Oh, you do use your first finger there?
Hang on.
Yeah,
I think so.
That's fine. So long as you're not going out into using fingers that you wouldn't normally use on the rest of the notes. That's what I'm trying to help you avoid.
So, and here's the other one.
Exactly, and it's another one that's back. So if you were here, it's a little bit awkward because you have to shift back from it.
Ah. So that's called the sixth.
That's the sixth note of the major scale. A really cool trick that Robin Ford does a lot is, he does sometimes, not all the time, but he replaces the seventh note of the minor pentatonic with the sixth. So he completely leaves out the seventh altogether and goes. So he's changed the minor pentatonic to accommodate that one note instead, which is a really hip trick.
Yeah.
Again, my feeling is that like thinking of that in terms as a scale is the wrong way around. It's like trying to just think of a whole new alphabet when you can learn. It's just the minor pentatonic that I know with all of the phrases that I know, and I can use this note rather than having to turn. You know, I think a lot of the problem people have with modes and this sort of stuff is they go, okay, I'm playing my minor pentatonic scale, now I have to play modes, and something clicks in their brain and they want to go, but it's a blues. It's like, that sounds shit, the blues, man. What are you doing? Don't do that.
Did we talk about this? So in the sort of, A, D, E type 12 bar.
Yeah.
Did we talk about where the sixth is appropriate over the E?
Yeah.
That's right. It was the same.
It makes the
D,
E9.
isn't it? So it
makes it an E9. You can use it over the D. It doesn't need to resolve.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just a bit meh. It's like it's okay, but it doesn't.
So you typically speaking over the A, you'd use it and resolve. Over the D, you're happy to sit on it, and over the E, you're sort of avoiding it completely.
I might hit it, but I'm not going to be. I'm certainly not going to target it. But if I happen to be on it, so if I was playing a little phrase, going. Just go up to the E now. Back to D. So if I had a little phrase that I was getting juicy over and it was like, this is working, I'm not going to change it because I got to the E. I might choose to, but I wouldn't feel like I had to. It works over the E too.
I like it. That was a good lesson.
Yeah, it's
like we're sort of finding our feet and actually getting things more structured and succinct.
Now I'm going to give you one more little use of the sixth, which is I think a real sexy one, which is here. We already looked at it as being there part of pattern 4. Do you use pattern 3 much? This minor pentatonic.
It's one of those ones where I have to really consciously force myself to go there because it's not second nature for me. But I do like the. I will. Oh no, hang on. We're in an A.
That's it.
Yeah, it's not. I know it.
Okay,
but it's
you
not
can play
like
it
a
up
second
and down,
nature.
Okay.
But I might bring in. Where I'm more. And this is,
Okay,
I'm more doing the major thing.
Yeah, but that is the sixth. The sixth is in the major pentatonic, right? So going, that one's the ninth.
Yeah.
Okay, so that the two, adding the 6 and the 9 together gives you either the major pentatonic or the Dorian.
I'm not thinking of that as the sort of. Is it position 4 or position 5?
3.
Position 3, 7, 9. Position. Oh yeah, I'm not thinking of that. I'm thinking of that as just doing something from a major blues scale.
Okay. Which is fine, but here, just think of that one note.
Yeah.
Again, just give me a little 12 bar on A. Just having. You could just really have that. Just using that one note with the root note is a really effective one. It's in a nice part of the neck. Also worth noting that it's this. There's your D chord. There's the note. So if you're thinking about trying to target that note over the D, when the person goes to the D chord, you can go, because there's your D big bar chord, D chord at the 10th fret.
And I suppose that bend up to the still works, doesn't it? If you. Oh.
That's it.
No, hang on.
Little finger, that's it.
That's
the one.
I think the sixth is always nice because that semitone bend upwards always hits a nice, a sweet note, doesn't it? So
the sixth is really cool. For me, it's my favourite extra colour tone that you can use in the blues. All the guys that I really like B.B. King and Robin Ford and Larry, they use it all the time. And it was the first time when I was listening, I think it was Larry Carlton's Last Night album, he uses it extensively. And I was just, at that point, I was still in my journey, not really breaking out much of the pentatonic scale. And I was like, this note, they're using it all the time. What scale is it? You know. Yeah. And I remember my teacher, Johnny McMillan, said, it doesn't matter what scale it's in, it's just a note that sounds cool. And that changed a lot of stuff for me because it went from having it like, do I have to think modally? Do I have to think it's the major pentatonic or the Dorian mode or the Mixolydian mode? It's in all of those things actually, but it's just a note. It's a cool note that you can muck around with, and you don't need to know the theory. You don't need to know the notes on the fingerboard. You just need to know, here's a cool note that I can use in the blues and have some fun with it.
Well, there we go. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the sixth.
Rutbuster number 2.
Next week, let's talk about the 7th. Or the 5th, maybe. Who knows? No, I'm joking. Okay, cool, man. Well, look, as always, if you want to find out more about what Justin does in his guitar tuition stuff, I'll put links in the description below. But it's basically Justin, I can't even say it, but it's JustinGuitar.com. I don't know. He's on CD or something, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
So there we go. Thanks, guys, for watching, and we shall see you next time.
Bye-bye.